Hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you for the StockPulse Network on Tuesday, September 25th. And for all of you who've been watching some wild times in the cannabis stocks, certainly a fascinating industry, and especially Tilray, one of the more commonly known stocks, has had quite a roller coaster ride over the past week. So fortunate to have a good friend of mine and a brilliant analyst, David Moadel, of looking at the markets to break it down, let us know what's going on and maybe how investors can approach that. So David, great to have you on here. Great to see you again. How's everything going today, my friend?
Fantastic, Chris. I appreciate you bringing me on, and let's talk some Tilray. What do you say?
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having some insight because it seems like pretty wild the last week. Again, maybe it's factoring in with some of the general volatility that a stock market would face when you have all the other conditions going on. So, can you break it down for folks who might be new to the sector and just give us an overview of what's going on?
Absolutely, Chris. Thank you for asking. There was a time when Canopy Growth Corp was the 800-pound gorilla in the room. I got that from Jeffrey Friedland, by the way. I didn't make that up. Now, the market, the marijuana index, as they call it, is not following Canopy Growth anymore, at least not for the past couple of weeks. It's following this much smaller player in the space, Tilray, which nobody cared about maybe a month ago. And now it's all about Tilray. When you go on stocktwits.com or on Twitter, wherever you go in the chat rooms, it's all Tilray, Tilray. Here's the thing. We've got a hockey stick formation on the charts. If you look at the daily chart of Tilray stock, and for those who don't know what a hockey stick formation is, we're talking about, I don't know if it's backwards or forwards on the screen, but a little bit of sideways and then just parabolic. Hopefully I did that in the right direction for your audience.
Yep.
Now, the thing about a hockey stick formation is that you've got a company that nobody's talking about, and then suddenly everybody's talking about. And also what happened is you had what's called a short squeeze. So yes, you had a parabolic move as Tilray started to gain momentum. And then the people who borrowed shares, hoping that it would go down, they borrowed shares from their broker, hoping that they could buy their shares back at a lower price, but the price started to go up. So they had to buy back just to just to stop the bleeding. And then what does that do to the share price? Causes it to go up even more precipitously. It's really crazy. I've got some research here from mid-August until the end of August. Short interest in Tilray had doubled from about 20% of all shares outstanding, which is already pretty massive. By the middle of the month, it doubled again to 40% short interest of all shares outstanding. So that is the definition. That is the epitome of a short squeeze.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we have going on now? Well, first of all, speaking of Canopy Growth, I just read, this was a few days ago, this is from Yahoo Finance, Canopy Growth CEO, okay, this is a big player, talks about Tilray's, this is his quote, technically weird price action. Now, how often, Chris, let me ask you this and ask your audience, how often does the CEO of a big company in a space, first of all, mention another stock even, and then call its price action technically weird? Have you heard this before? I think this is unprecedented.
Well, with Wall Street, I'm sure there's a bunch of wacky stuff, but yeah, that's certainly not. I mean, I guess thinking about Elon Musk and some of his latest
Okay.
antics reminds me
Well,
all.
I think they called him weird, not so much the price action of the stock, but I think you're right. Yes. I'm just kidding, though. But this is, let me see. Tilray's volatility is likely the result of investors and traders, quote, trying to play a game. This is from Yahoo Finance, with large share positions. The the CEO told CNBC on Friday. Wow. So that's crazy for an actual CEO of a company to say that. And then he mentioned it just got, quote, technically weird. So now personally, am I investing in Tilray right now? Well, do I invest in hockey stick formations generally, irrespective of what company is being represented by that chart? No, I don't. That doesn't mean that Tilray can't keep going up. And I know it wobbled. I know it had some downward action a couple days ago, but it's going right back up today. Tilray today is up 19% right now as we're recording this. 19% in one day. And that's actually normal for this stock lately.
What level is it trading at right now, David?
It was at around $19 right now per share, Tilray. So I'm sorry, 119. Let me pull that back up just to make sure that I'm correct. It was up, I'm sorry, 19% is what I meant to say.
Yeah, I think last night I saw it at about $99 before it went to.
Let me see. Let me pull that up. Yeah, it's a Tilray, $118. It's up around 19%. 118 and 30 cents, 19% up today. But that's actually fairly muted compared to what we saw last week. I mean, it's a big move. Why is it going up today? Tilray shares jumping as company says it's exporting cannabis to sick children in Australia. Okay, I guess that's nice, right? Okay, bringing the weed to the kids in Australia, the sick kids. I guess that's nice. Although cannabis, people who don't believe in the cannabis movement might think it's not very nice. That's something we don't hear about here in the United States. Even considering bringing any sort of marijuana products to children, it's just unthinkable. But Australia, they have their rules. They're going to do it their way. Tilray started Tuesday with a turnaround. Surged in early trading Tuesday after the marijuana company announced it had successfully provided its medical cannabis to critically ill children in Australia. And there we go. And that's why it's up 19% today. Tilray first exported its medical cannabis to Victoria back in March 2017. The products have been distributed to 29 critically ill children who had not responded to formally approved anti-seizure drugs. Dr. Catherine Jacobson, Tilray Director of Clinical Research, said in a statement at that time. So I guess they're the good guys. I guess they're doing good work. That's controversial. And you know what else is interesting? I've noticed that the marijuana index, which a lot of people invest in through HMMJ, stock ticker for the Horizons ETF in Canada. It's HMLSF in the United States. There's another ETF just called MJ, stock ticker MJ. Those have been, as we've alluded to, those have been following Tilray instead of Canopy recently. It's bizarre. You've got the tail wagging the dog, so to speak. Right. What do we make of it? Chris, I don't know if you're going long here. It's cool if you are. I'm just staying the heck out. I'm not into this kind of price action. I don't like to, that's my personal thing. I'm not 20 years old anymore. I don't have, 40 working years ahead of me to save up money. And so I'm not going to take that kind of risk. I imagine that maybe some millennials might be getting into it, and not to put down millennials. They're cool. They're awesome. It's just that they have more of a risk-taking stance a lot of the time. Which has been fostered by the fact that it's so easy nowadays to buy and sell shares of stocks and options with Robinhood right on their phone. Right. So the easy, quick, see, back in the day when I was that age, I don't know if you're old enough to remember this, Chris, but you actually had to call it in on the phone if you wanted to place an order. You'd have to talk to an actual broker. You'd have to wait for him to place the trade. It would cost $20 or $25 per trade. Not $5 like it is or free nowadays. And you actually, it was almost like you had a waiting period, like buying a gun or something, where you actually had time to think about it. Nowadays, it's just quick and you can just do it. And I think that has contributed to the fast price action on some of the stocks that we've been seeing lately and the cryptocurrencies as well, because Robinhood does allow crypto trading now. But I don't want to get off topic. This is about Tilray. So Chris, I don't know what you think, but I'm staying the heck out. I'm going to wait until it calms down a little bit. In the meantime, I'm going to stick with what I know, which is great big companies, the leaders in the space, the ones that have plenty of capital and been around for a while. Canopy Growth Corp, we alluded to earlier, Afria, Aurora, Organogram, Emerald. things like companies like that I've been investing in anyway and will continue to do so.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense, especially because one of the questions that I had as I was reading a bit more about it last night and was reading one analyst report, I'm curious what your feel is of how much money the company is actually making. You mentioned the crypto-like atmosphere,
Yeah.
which that was the initial impression I picked up just from, again, a very cursory glance, but I understand how sometimes when there's a new business idea or something that has a lot of merit and people go out and buy it, yet there's always a fair value for something. I mean, you could have the greatest, even if you started Apple again before the iPhone came out, there's still, whether it's X billion or X trillion, there's always some point at which it can get overvalued. That was the impression I got from the analyst I was reading last night. Curious if you have any thoughts on that. And is it, everyone in Australia and their children would have to be loading up to ever meet that valuation? Or is some of the numbers even in the ballpark, or what's your take on that?
As Warren Buffett famously said, and I'm paraphrasing here, in the excuse me, in the short run, the stock market is a voting machine. In the long term, it is a weighing machine. And Warren Buffett is one of my heroes, even though I don't agree with him on everything, such as gold and crypto. But yeah, so right now it's a voting machine. So fundamentals don't matter as much, and it won't matter for the next few days at least. So if you're trading on fundamentals, okay, maybe if you're a position trader, if you're long-term buy and hold, look at the fundamentals. Sure, that matters for the long term because it is a weighing machine. It weighs the actual value versus valuation of, value versus price of the company. And right now, as far as PE ratio, it is trading at very high multiples. When you've got a triple-digit PE ratio, on the other hand, Amazon has had a triple-digit PE ratio for a long time, and it just keeps going up because people keep using Amazon. Go walk around your neighborhood on trash pickup day, and you see the boxes with the smile thing on it. Okay, everybody's buying everything from Amazon. Can you blame them? I do it. So if that can happen, Tilray could keep going up. On the other hand, is Tilray as powerful a business as Amazon? Are people rushing to actually use Tilray's products and services like they are with Amazon or Netflix or whatever you want to point to as an analog? No, certainly not. Okay. If you want to talk about grow space, if you want to talk about pushing and moving the product, Canopy is the place to be. But of course, Canopy is more steady than Tilray right now. It already had its huge 10-bagger or more run-up. That happened a couple years ago. Right. So if you're looking for huge gains, you missed the train, I think, in Tilray. On the other hand, would I short it? No. That's craziness. Short sellers are suffering right now. I'm just staying out of it. If you want to buy it for a long-term buy and hold, I don't recommend that either. Wait until the value and the valuation catch up to each other, till they're more in line. Right now, it's just in the voting machine phase. So, right. I'm just going to watch and eat popcorn.
Yeah. Well, last question for you, and maybe you have or even if you can give a ballpark estimate here. Let's say you liked Tilray's business model and thought there was a long-term story and it would grow. What level would you feel comfortable at investing in it? I'm guessing it's going to be a number lower than 119. Is that at $50? Then it makes more sense. I guess any general ballpark of what level would it have to get down to for you to feel, all right, now this is something I would be able to hold in my portfolio and makes sense based on where the company's at?
Yeah, this is a weird stock chart I'm looking at right now. It's hard to even read it. I like to get into a short-term dip within an overall uptrend. All right. So, you got a stock. I don't know which way the screen is going for your audience, but you got a stock that's going up, up, up. It's got like a staircase, gradually up and then has a little dip and gradually goes up, has a dip, gradually goes up, has a dip. I like to buy those little dips.
Right.
I'm talking about when you look at the 1 year chart, the 2 year chart, 3 year chart. I'm looking at if you look at the 1 year chart of Tilray, it doesn't look anything like that. Actually, it looks like, the stock going up to around $214 from less than $40 within a short period of time. And now it's at 117. So it actually went down a point and a half since we started talking. That's what we're looking at here. So how do you even read a chart that instead of having a gradual staircase upwards, you got this way up and then now it's halfway down that mountain, halfway down that sharp, steep hill. I don't trade something like that. I don't even, if I had to, I wouldn't get in. That's crazy. It's an unreadable chart as far as I'm concerned. I'm talking about for swing traders. Right. Day trading is a different story. But if you're asking about a price to get in, if I had to, I would wait until it's at least, let's say back to 80. 80 is at least closer to being reasonable compared to what the company is actually worth and how profitable they actually are. I'm not saying I'm going to buy it at 80. I'm saying at least if you're going to buy and just hold on to it for a few months, maybe a year, at least let it go down to 80 for goodness sake. That's the direction it's been going towards. Pull back the chart, folks. Don't just look at the last few days. Look at the 1 year chart, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Look at what you're really getting into and understand that this is on its way down right now if you pull back the chart. And that's something I'm not into personally.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you saying that, because one of the things I've learned and I feel sometimes gets missed is that just because there's a story happening or a stock trading doesn't mean we have to be in everything. So yeah, how you say right now, it seems like something you just want to steer clear of, and I think there's a lot of benefit for people investing and trading what they know and really understand. So I appreciate you giving us a good overview. So at least people have some general foundation that they can get started with. And last thing, just how can folks reach you and follow your work, especially those looking to learn more about the cannabis sector?
Sure. Well, thank you for asking, Chris. I am David Moadel, Moadel. They can contact me, davidmoadel@gmail.com. And they can check me out on YouTube. I have over 500 videos they can watch on YouTube. It's called Looking at the Markets with David Moadel, Moadel. Just look it up in the search box on YouTube and subscribe to my channel. And I have, for example, a full webinar on cannabis stocks. That's about an hour long. People can check that out. And I'm always updating constantly on the world of not just cannabis stocks, but all stocks, options, commodities, all that good stuff, gold and silver, cryptocurrencies. Check it out and contact me if you have any questions.
Yeah, and I would recommend that to everyone watching today. It is a great channel. I've enjoyed a lot of the interviews you have there. Perhaps you can send that link. We'll post it underneath the video today so people can go right to the webinar. And again, David Moadel of Looking at the Markets. So thanks for joining us today, and we'll have you back on soon because it's always evolving market. And appreciate you being here, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Anytime.